Hi, I'm Neil.
Hi, I'm Amy Holden.
And welcome back to the Pimp My LinkedIn Profile show. It's great to have you back. We've had lots of fantastic response to our first episode last week, and we're back for more. Amy, whose profile are we going to look at this week?
So today on the list, we've got two lovely ladies. We've got Isabel Gilad, and we've also got Megan V. Walker. Very exciting to be here.
Awesome. Yeah, this is going to be great. So, Isabel, should we take Isabel first?
Absolutely. Fire away.
Okay, so first up, I have to admit, Isabel and I used to work together, so I'm doing this as a favor for Isabel. She added her name to our list and applied to have her profile reviewed. Isabel and I worked together at Slalom Consulting, probably 6 or 7 years ago, and she was a great consultant to work with. Let's have a look at her LinkedIn profile. First of all, I think we like to start with people's profile pictures because it's attracts your eye. It's the first thing that you look at on somebody's profile most of the time. I really like Isabel's photograph. She's opted for a black and white photo, which is a little unusual, but it's a great photograph. Again, it passes my would I know Isabel if I met her at a conference test. She's based in Montreal in Canada. She's a senior Dynamics 365 consultant at Power Objects. I like the way she's got her job title and her company name in that headline, which is great. And it also says she's a mentor. Not quite sure what that means. And we both worked at Slalom. There we go. So a couple of other great things about Isabel's profile. She's got some good jobs laid out there. Scrolling down through her profile, you can see some great recent certifications. So she's kept her Microsoft Business Applications certs up to date, which is fantastic. Some solid skills and lots of good recommendations. She's received 20 recommendations, given out 11. And like we say on the show, you need to give recommendations to get recommendations. That's obviously worked really well for Isabel.
Got some really
Amy, what do you
great
think of Isabel's
skills and
profile?
a lot of skills and endorsements as well. That's a really impressive rack up there. I really like it, and I totally agree with the profile photo. Like it's got a bit of character. She's a beautiful girl as well, and it looks really great. Not so sure on the about section though.
Yeah, it's pretty tragic, isn't it? So Isabel's opted just for a list of her certifications, going all the way back to CRM 3.0, 4.0, 2011.
Ooh.
Okay, she's been around the product for a while. She's got a lot of experience. But her about section really needs to sing her praises. It really needs to let us know what she's passionate about, what she loves doing. This breaks my heart, Isabel. Come on, we can do better than that.
Absolutely.
What else do you think Isabel could do to pimp her profile, Amy?
I think it's important to look at how people are interacting on LinkedIn. So great, you've got a profile, but how are you expressing yourself and interacting with people? So I'd be interested to see what her activity's like. Is she posting or is she looking at stuff? Is she sharing other things?
Doesn't seem to be an awful lot of activity. So that little activity box normally shows the last, I think, 90 days of activity, or the last 4 or 5 activities if you've got more than that in the last 90 days. But Isabel isn't really reacting that much or engaging that much on LinkedIn by the looks of it. Her activity section's a little behind. So, if you do want to dive into LinkedIn, it's worth just even logging in just once a week, checking your LinkedIn messages and invitations, and engaging with some of your connections, posts. I really think that helps.
Absolutely.
What do you think of Isabel's job titles and listings here for her employment section?
I mean, she's got a heap of experience, absolutely amazing, but I have no idea what she's done. I'd love to know more about them. She's more than just a job title, so I'd love to know more about what she actually does and what does business analysis, COE, steering committee member mean.
Yeah, I think a little bit more detail in there. Some of Isabel's accomplishments and achievements could be highlighted under each of those employment roles. That would really help her profile sing. Have we got anything else for Isabel, Amy?
Let's have a look. I think, to be fair, it looks pretty good. I think just more interaction, sing her and praise the bit. And I think as well, if she's working towards wanting to be something else, she needs to make sure she shouts about what she's good at and what she's passionate about. And that's kind of what you're about and your headline's all about. So what excites her? What does she want to be known for? And make sure she displays that a bit more. And yeah, just get out there, share some things, like some things, and get involved a bit more.
Yeah, so Isabel's doing really well. If people are looking for the next step up, maybe a promotion at work, it's worth honing in your profile on those skills and experiences that highlight that you're ready for that promotion. So, Isabel's got some great architecture skills. She wins the trust of her clients really easily and builds on that. And she can design systems just as well as any solution architect I've worked with. So I think she's ready for that step up, and she needs to highlight that in a profile.
Definitely agree.
What do you think of this big long list of certifications? All of these going back 10 years?
I looked at this somewhere else as well, that actually a lot of those have actually expired, or I think the term's retired, but a lot of these are pretty outdated. I think you could maybe get away with going back to CRM 2016 at a push, but anything before that, I think you can express that you've worked with the product already through your job descriptions and highlight there that that's what you've worked with. But otherwise, I think those certs need to be put to rest somewhere.
Yeah, I completely agree. In fact, I took your advice on my own profile, Amy, and retired a lot of the certifications on my own LinkedIn profile that went back, anything older than about 3 years. I retired it. It's not relevant to where I want to take my career and what I want to be known for.
Well done.
I'm a big fan of using the background image here, but it appears at the top. Isabel's gone for the default LinkedIn one. We're going to see another profile in just a moment, which is different. It's got a custom one.
Yeah.
Amy, you don't mind if it's just a regular LinkedIn background, do you?
Oh, see, since we started talking about it, I've gone a bit full circle. I've been thinking about it a bit more, and I actually changed mine recently. So I'll speak about it a bit when we look at Megan's, because I was inspired by what Megan did, really.
Okay.
I think it's got a lot of power. So I'm going to ask you the question, Neil. Out of 10, how are we rating Isabel's profile?
It's pretty good. There's some good highlights in there. I love the number of recommendations that Isabel has given and received. It's pretty solid, and I think there's 3 or 4 solid steps that Isabel can take to improve it. So I'm going to go for a 7 for Isabel's profile. What about you?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of potential, but it just doesn't jump out at me. Like, she seems good, like at what she does, but I'd like her to be a bit more out there and to shout about herself a bit more. So I'm going to give her a 6 and encourage her to get out there and show how awesome she is.
Great. Okay, let's pop over into our second profile that we're going to pimp in today's show. It's Megan Walker.
Ooh, so I had to remember to look at this profile and remember that and take away the fact that I do know Megan more than just her profile, but I love, love, love what she's done with her headline. So Megan Walker and Lisa Crosby recently launched their new podcast, and she's used the headline of her profile to advertise their podcast, which I think is really great because it shows what she's up to. It is attractive, and it's also free advertising, but it's also about what she does and another place to find Megan, which I love what she's done there. It's really great.
It's really hard to know what to do if you have a YouTube channel or a popular blog or a podcast. Do you add those as a job in LinkedIn so that you're advertising the fact that you've got this content that you can share with people? I really like what Megan's done with that as well, using that background image. It's really good. It's quite hard to design the background image. You have to fiddle with the sizes and get the text, for example, in the right place so your profile photograph doesn't overlap it.
Yeah.
Megan's done a great job.
She's done a really good job, and it is a struggle to get the picture right. I've spent a good hour with Snagit yesterday, I think, trying to get mine right, so I can vouch for that, but it's worth it when it's done. Not so keen on the profile picture as an alternative, though. I think it's a very busy background. There's a bit too much going on. I think you could maybe recognize Megan, but I think it could be a bit more. I like the personality, the thing. It's not like a headshot boring, but I think it could be a bit clearer as to say this is actually who Megan is. Yeah,
it's a little strange angle she's taken out, and she's quite off-center in the photograph. But it's a nice photograph. She's smiling. She's making eye contact with you. But I think you're right. It's a little bit busy, especially with that background in the headline section as well.
Yes. So I found out her contact information is great. There's heaps of stuff about her, how to get in contact with her. It's also her birthday in 17 days. And I want to ask you this. What's your thoughts on having birthdays on LinkedIn?
I don't like it at all. First of all, it's a security risk in some cases, because if I know your birthday, I might be able to guess the year that you were born as well, maybe based on college and things like that. So for websites where a date of birth is required to verify your identity, you might be giving that away. And LinkedIn used to celebrate your birthday in other people's activity feed, and that just I'm not a big fan of that.
Yeah.
Just not a fan of growing old. So birthdays are best forgotten in my book.
I'm on the
What do you
fence with
think?
it, but I found out that if you share your birthday, then you get notified about other people's birthdays, and if you don't, then you
Right.
don't find out about other people's. But it
Ah,
doesn't quite fit on LinkedIn. I don't know why it's there, but I feel rude turning it off. That's where I sit with it.
I turned mine off years ago.
Oh, so you're still 24, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
uh, what else have we got on Megan's profile? What do you think about this about section? It's quite short, lots of keywords and lots of emojis in there. What do you think of that?
Yeah, it's very Megan. I think maybe if I didn't know her, like I love and hate it at the same time. At first, I'm like, oh, that's so unprofessional, and then I'm like, actually, like it's really easy to read and it draws me in. I think the only thing I dislike about it is that she's used the MCSA, MCSE, which is also retired and doesn't exist anymore. But yeah, I think in a way I like it, but I also don't know. Ooh,
Yeah, I'm in two minds as well. It's putting a URL in there that's not clickable. That's maybe not a great use of space. It is in her contact section, but she's got a pretty tight summary in terms of keywords. She's very efficient, um, and I like the use of emojis. It kind of highlights where each of the sections start. So
yeah.
yeah, it could be tightened up a little, but it's nice to see something different. People experimenting and trying new things.
Yep. So we're going to jump to experience. There is heaps going on here. There is a lot, and I think this needs a bit of a trim. I know obviously she's had quite a few jobs, but when we keep going down, we get to the point where we've got jobs like I'm not quite sure
Wow.
where these all fit in. It's really, I think maybe anything after Bond International could maybe be trimmed up a bit. But I know Megan's quite a lot about showing that she is not from a technical background. And that's a bit about her brand as well. So it could go either way.
Yeah, I think I agree. Let's keep it right down. This is not a resume where you're applying for a job and need to show a complete career history. I want to look at Megan's profile to see if I want to engage her as an advisor or consultant
Mm.
um, within my organization. So the last 3 or 4 roles, just highlight her relevant experience to where she wants to take her career and the services she wants to offer. Going back, you know, 20 years maybe and is it's a little bit too much, especially for roles,
Yeah,
she was an intern and things way back when. Those could be dropped off.
yeah.
But again, lots more emojis sprinkled through there as well.
Yes, I love that she's been consistent with the emojis throughout her profile. That made me love it. I love how she
Yep.
structured the Bond International Software section. And I think that needs to be like, what I hate this using this word, consistified and used throughout her other experiences as well. And I think that would look really cool.
That's right. So you can now, within LinkedIn, you can have a couple of different roles at one employer, and it will structure them like this. So various roles USA. So you can highlight promotions within your employment with one employer. So Megan's done that there. What do you think of things like the Dynamics group? I don't even know can't remember what TDG stands for anymore. Started out as those Dynamics guys, but I think they changed it.
Yeah.
Um, Adding, I've seen MVPs, for example, add an employment at Microsoft, or if I'm a trainer, I'll say I started at Microsoft on the year I got my MCT. What do you think of those kind of non-employment positions in your experience?
I think if it's really important to you and you think it's going to help you with what you do, then it helps to put it there because there's not really anywhere else to put it on your LinkedIn profile without using your headline image to really shout about it. But it can be very misleading and confusing, like especially the Microsoft one for me, if someone's an MVP or something, but they say they're working at Microsoft as an MVP, that really confuses me and it makes me think they're a fraud. Um, so yeah, if it's very important to you and you're trying to promote it, then yes. Otherwise, I don't think I would count it as experience.
Yeah, I think you're right. LinkedIn doesn't have a great place to add them. You can probably add it as a voluntary contribution or something somewhere
Mm,
else in your profile, but then it gets
yeah,
lost.
who
So
actually
I can
gets to
understand
the
why people.
voluntary? No one ever gets down
Yeah.
there anyway.
Okay, coming through some education and licenses and certifications.
Yeah, so
Again, Megan's got a got a couple of certifications here that are a little bit older.
Yeah, same story, I think. Quite outdated, and again, not retired. But I know I recently listened to one of their podcasts, and Megan's terrified of doing new exams, so that might be why.
Yeah. Okay, Megan, it's time to bite the bullet. You and me together. I haven't taken a certification exam for probably about 18 months. So yeah, maybe we should join a little study club and go for one of the easy ones.
That's part of the Pimp My LinkedIn Profile challenge. You have to go and do an exam, and I want to see it on your profile, Megan.
Okay. Skills and endorsements, a good set of skills there.
Incredible. All the recommendations and skills and endorsements. I've never seen so many on one profile. Yikes. It's amazing.
Interesting. Yeah, a lot of the skills are not necessarily what I think of Megan for her Microsoft Dynamics 365 skills. A lot of it seemed to be older, relating to her previous careers in staffing and so on, and recruitment. So although she's got a lot of endorsements for these, I think I would retire some of these. If Megan doesn't want her future career to be in staffing, maybe drop some of these skills and endorsements.
Yeah, it'd be good to kind of roll them up and get the most important ones at the top. Because I know you can feature the 3, but even when you expand it, like if Megan does not want to be doing HTML, then rip it off.
Yeah, good idea. And look at this. Wow. Wow. Look at the recommendations.
Incredible.
It's amazing.
It's like really good, but my only thing is that they are not so many are recent. Again, like it was about, I think 2018 was like the year for LinkedIn. That's when everyone thought it was cool. It's awesome that maybe she doesn't need them as much now, but it would be good to kind of top up those recommendations and get some more recent ones, especially now that she's out on her own consulting. It's really good to have some recent ones there.
Do you retire recommendations? Can you delete them after a while if they're about this is way back in 2012. Megan got a recommendation. That's probably for a previous career in a previous industry. Would you delete it, or would you just leave it up there just to show the sheer number of recommendations you've had?
I don't know, because like you said, like that number kind of, unless I would probably look at getting rid of some. I just hope it doesn't offend the person that gave it. If it doesn't relate to my current role and like where I want to be and where I want to go, I think I'd look at getting rid of it, to be honest.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I think I probably agree with that. And some good accomplishments. Megan's had quite a few publications, which is great. And I think this is where she's taken a course, and she's got some interests there as well. So overall, a really, really solid profile. And we haven't discussed Megan's activity on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Would you say she's one of the more active people that you know on LinkedIn?
She's very active on LinkedIn, but she's been more often posting and sharing her own stuff rather than other people's. So I like to try and take an approach that for every post I post about something cool I've done, I'll try and post something else that I've used from the community that someone else has done. And I think it's nice to have a little balance. Like it's obviously she's getting quite, I know she's more of a Twitter person. If you look at the interaction with her posts, it's not huge. I know she's more of a tweeter. But it is good to kind of give and take with these kind of things. So I would say awesome level of activity, but maybe tweak it a bit to be more oriented towards sharing as well.
Yeah, okay. I never thought of that. I engage a lot on other people's content. I comment and like, but I don't share an awful lot of other people's content on LinkedIn, but maybe you should take a look at that too. So out of 10, Amy, how would you rate Megan's profile?
She's done good. It's an 8. If she goes and does an exam, it's a 9.
Oh, that's throwing down the gauntlet. I think the same. I would actually say 8.5 towards 9 already, and a couple of little tiny tweaks that Megan can make to her profile to make it a 10. But one of the best profiles I think seen so far. Well done, Megan.
Awesome, great work.
All right, Amy, we're going to be back I think on the next show in a week or so, and we'll have another couple of profiles to pimp. And how can people add their name to the list and apply to appear on the show?
So we'll put a link in the description in the show notes, and you can fill in a form, sign your life away, and volunteer yourself to get pimped. We're waiting for you.
Good stuff. Thanks, Amy. See you next time.
Thanks, Neil.